Hello, aloha from Bali, Indonesia. Welcome. I'm Dr. Jinju Dasala, also known as the Goddess Brain Doctor, here to assist you in activating your goddess brain, awakening your feminine wisdom, and living your divine purpose. I'm also the founding mother of NaiAsa Institute, where we weave science, soul, and Soma for the purpose of healing and transformation. Welcome to this video. Welcome to the second day of this amazing year. Happy 2022. I felt powerfully called to create this video to channel and share and present some messages and some tools and some practices and insights and some fun, magical little stories to assist you in preparing and creating your 2022. This is a year that I have been anticipating, all of us here at NaiAsa Institute have been anticipating for ever since the number 22 came into our lives. For me, that was in 2006 on a spirit journey to Peru, to the Amazonian rainforest and all throughout Peru. And wow, here we are. So numerologically, 222 is what they call a master slash angel number. And also, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always really curious who else out there notices or is constantly seeing 22 or 222 out there in the world. For different people, there are different angel numbers that pop up. And it's funny, there's actually a part of the brain called the reticular activating system that plays a big role in us noticing and picking up on these synchronicities. And so the number 222, so there's 11s, 22s, 33s, 44, and then when you get the triplet of these, it magnifies it. And all of these numbers are really in the vein of power. They're power numbers, power for transformation, for change, for healing, for manifestation. And if you look energetically at especially the number two, it carries inside of it, in the geometry of it, the energies of both the masculine and the feminine in almost perfect harmony. So you have this beautiful curve, and then you have this linear, like stable foundation to hold that. And if you take the number 22 and flip one of the twos, it literally becomes a heart. And so I really have come to learn and experience and see that the number 22 is very much the frequency of the highest divine love possible, and unconditionally, and harmony. Yeah, especially when you bring the third two into it, 222. So what is the year 2022 about on a macro, on a global level, and then also for each of us individually? Well, it's whatever you want to create inside of it, but know that all of us are in this vibration of 222, and it is all about transformation for the purpose of bringing harmony, for the purpose of harmonizing and bringing balance to this world that I think we can all agree has kind of swung and spun completely out of balance. So this is also a year of transformation, and it's a powerful year. And today is a new moon in Capricorn. And if you listen to some of the astrologers out there, who, especially Pam Gregory, who talk about the energies, the astrological influences on this year, especially initiating with this new moon, it is a year of dreaming big, of really, I mean, and it makes sense too, because so much is crumbling. So many of the old ways of living are literally dying. There's so much of this planet that is where it's proving unsustainable, that it's collapsing, whether it's environmentally, politically, socially, physically. And so when this death happens, it creates a void, it creates a space from which, for which, something will be created. And it's your choice. It's your choice to decide if you want to be a part of that co-creation of what goes into these new spaces. Yeah. So with that, let's take a deep breath. Science, soul, and Soma. I also see this year being a bridge year for these three pillars. Because up until this pandemic happened, before this particular pandemic, most humans could kind of go about their lives not really needing to study or learn or understand science. It's kind of a specialized field. If you want to be a scientist, you go on a very dedicated path to study and immerse in the sciences. Well, I think one really amazing thing that is going to come out of this in terms of out of this pandemic is that moving forward, there's not a single human being on this planet where science is not forefront in their minds. And there's going to be naturally a surge of way more curious minds, especially younger minds, who are going to be called and are already called to dive into the realm of science. And with that, I can just see this renaissance of science happening over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be really beautiful. The soul, right? The soul, I also see in times like these. We all know historically that mass and radical change, destruction, these are all qualities of the dark night of the soul. And so it is really just launching, catapulting every single one of us on a collective journey of our collective soul, like what it means to have a soul, what it means to connect our souls, what it means to live aligned with our collective soul on this planet. And this is also a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then the Soma, the body. This is really, this year, it's already been happening in the last 5 years, this huge explosion of awakening the body, of embodiment practices, whether it's yoga or dance or flow, breath work. And so, we're really, this is going to be one of the keys for all of us. It's almost like learning a new language and discovering how much there is that can guide us innately from within, from within every aspect of from our cells to our organs, women from our wombs, our hearts, the intelligence of the heart, down to our DNA. And so all of this coming together is really ripe for us to birth so many new beautiful things. And perspective is everything. Perspective is always everything. And coming into this year, I think this is going to be one of the most challenging things, and it has been the past couple of years. Even coming into this new year, you all, for me personally, and it was a quiet kind of somber New Year's Eve into the first day, because we're really tied to Colorado, and so I know several of you who follow us and who connect with us live in Colorado, and so our hearts are actually heavy for what has been happening there. If you don't know, on the last day of 2021, just out of nowhere, sudden hurricane force winds came down off of the Rocky Mountains into the plains, and there was a wildfire that sparked, and the winds just blew this fire up and destroyed thousands of homes, just like that. It's incomprehensible, actually, what happened. I'm surprised it's not getting so much coverage on the national news. But yeah, if you're someone who has lost your home or has been affected by this in some way, our hearts go out to you. And so, things like this happening 2 days before that, there was another mass shooting in Denver, where I know many the people I know in Colorado were affected and knew and loved some of these victims very, very much. So a lot of this is going to keep happening. And so, navigating 2022 is really going to be honing in on a dance, right? This dance of holding that grief, of witnessing things that are going to be very tragic, still holding things that have already been very tragic, but finding how to hold that without letting it sink you down into the depths of where you can't, where you're crippled and you can't feel or see the light. And so really bringing and balancing this with those practices and those energies that are of the highest frequency. This is going to be a year where art explodes. I can feel it. Can you feel it? Already, I think so many humans have gone through so much, and this is going to be the year where those creative channels open up and allow for this grief to be transmuted into the most beautiful art to help us to carry forth the lessons. Let those things that we grieve not be forgotten, but let them be carried forth as beauty and as light, beauty that transforms. So I'm going to dip into, probably going to jump around here a little bit because I don't want this to be a big production. This is a year where I am just taking on, just showing up, okay? Just showing up in the moment, because there isn't a whole lot of time to spend on making things perfect. Time is already accelerating, and so this is also one of the gems that I urge you, if you are, in this year, there are so many people being called to rise up, to become healers, to become space holders. There are so many people being forced right now they're just finding themselves in situations where they're needing to hold space for loved ones who are going through so much. Hospitals are swamped. I don't know what's our mental health resource system, at least in the US, is pretty much, it's really almost it's there, but also it's not accessible in a way. It doesn't make it easy for people to just reach out and be resourced emotionally and mentally. So this is a year for that people are rising up, and we've seen it in our own programs, just people just out of the woodwork, just really saying yes, and also being forced to kind of forced to shift directions in their careers, especially with all of the mandates that have come down and are still continuing to come down, which is also a beautiful thing. I have held space for so much the past couple of years, and this year that was the most interesting space to hold my clients in, the ones who the ones who had to make those choices, and I know several, and we have several in our programs who actually said, you know what, I'm going to honor what I feel my body needs, and if that means losing my job, then so be it. And just really watching those of you out there face that, and our hearts go out to you. And what I've seen in that, and perhaps some of you have seen, is also beautiful. It's beautiful. At least the women that I know who have been in those situations and have sort of let go of their lifeline to surrender into a divine free fall, a trust in the divine, have been delightfully surprised in what is showing up in their lives. And so, and this is exactly what happened with me and Nova and our baby when Sakai was only a year and a half old. We laugh about it because we feel like our it was our training, it was our preparation for 2020. Our 2020 kind of happened in 2018, where, long story short, we lost almost everything, and things just started to crumble all around us. Except for us, we were just isolated in our experience, because everyone around us was doing great, just living their lives, and we were just in this isolated place, and it was terrifying to suddenly not know how to pay the bills, and to suddenly feel like every single door was closing. And eventually that had us basically surrender into free fall and ask ourselves big questions, what do we really want? Okay, what matters most in this life? What do we want to experience if we only have 5 years to live, And, that rabbit hole of that inquiry, that line of inquiry of questions, is what had us take the leap to move to Bali, Indonesia, and to start a whole new life here, and to put our whole hearts and our souls into this beautiful and sacred work of helping people to heal and transform. And so, okay, so synchronicity. If you haven't noticed already, I am so excited about 2022. I'm even more excited about the day, February 22nd. Mark your calendars, save the date. We are going to be hosting an online free global event in celebration and in honor, and for the purpose of assisting in this planetary activation of 222 consciousness, of divine feminine consciousness, and of harmony consciousness. So at NaiAsa Institute, I have to show you this. You may not, some of you know, this is our logo. And this book, oh my goodness, it ended up being 192 pages. I will be publishing the Goddess Brain book this year. Yes, and so that anyone and everyone in the world can access it. Anyway, the logo for NaiAsa Institute, I want to share this with you. And I want to share it, not just to share it, hey, here's our logo, but I want to share it with you as a tool that you can use, okay, just on a high level, and that you can play with. So what this is sacred circle, and it's basically a medicine wheel. So we base all of our journeys, all of our coaching programs, our trainings, our curriculums, even our classes, are based on this wheel, and we call it the Lokahi wheel. Okay, so Lokahi, we have roots in Hawaii, is a Hawaiian word for harmony. And this, in the middle here, are the numbers 2, 2, 2. And they spiral into infinity, inward, spiraling counterclockwise, and they spiraling outward into infinity. And we have the north, the south, the west, and the east. We also work with what we work with. We work with the elements, the fire, the water, the earth, the wind, and spirit. And so on our Lokahi wheel, we actually, many medicine wheels, depending on the origin, depending on where that culture is located, depending on the philosophy of the culture, many go in the clockwise flow, the current direction, right? It occurred to me when this was birthed through me in the year 2012. I heard a whisper that was like, it's time to start going a different direction. It's time to start balancing out this clockwise, forward, yang, forward, fast energy in the world, and to begin to cultivate that reversal, pause, and slowing down into the counterclockwise current, which is the current of the feminine, the current of yin. So we go from the north to the west, to the south, to the east, and we start in air, and we work with koshas, so the Vijnanamaya kosha, and we go to the earth. And it's basically a wheel of healing, transformation, and manifestation, okay? So everything starts from spirit, ends in spirit. But here, we always start here. And I'm not going to have time to go through this, but I will just share this part. The north is air, okay? The element of air, and the kosha of Vijnanamaya. So this is all about, and this kosha is a Vijnanamaya. It's also known as your wisdom body, your observer, your witness body. So sometimes if you go to a yoga class, you've probably heard your yoga teacher say something like, notice. See if you can notice without judgment. That's your Vijnanamaya kosha. Okay, so this has to do with the realm of the sky, the wisdom above, and bird's eye view. Okay, so that's where we are right now in the winter months, at least in the northern hemisphere, and for all of us going into a new year. Your vision, getting clear about what you are creating. And when you're clear about your vision, and with your vision, your why this vision, I promise you everything else will fall into place. And that's all I will say about that. And coming back to this year though, 222, Lokahi, harmony. I say this is the year of the divine feminine awakening, and in my sense of the way that I think of divine feminine is not like it's the year of the woman. It's the year of, when I think of the feminine, first of all, energetically, it's the energetics of in the Chinese philosophy, the yin energy, right? It's a slowing down. It's a beingness, and it's also it's mother, it's mother, it's mother nature, it's goddess Gaia, it's goddess Gaia, and it's also Saraswati, right? She is the Hindu goddess of art, of science, of music, and of flow. And so, so yeah, art. And notice science. Science and art actually go hand in hand. And so this is a year of creativity. Creativity is sourced. The most creative minds are open in their second chakra. Okay, the Svadhisthana chakra, the womb chakra. Okay, the sexual, sensual, energetic source of our bodies, right? So that feminine sense of, and it's not a place of, okay, we got to figure this out and we got to do more and we got to force more. It's a place of awakening to our innate creative power, feminine creative power that exists in all beings, men, women, and children. But it's creating from a different place. It's harnessing a different kind of energy. We can be creative with the masculine, and it takes those masculine energies to help to expand what's being created with the feminine and to help direct it as well. And I think most of us can agree that on this planet, maybe not most of us would agree. The way I see it is every single problem, every single major problem and challenge on this planet, you can trace it deep, 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 deep to an imbalance of the yin and the yang, right? Where in this world, it's like, if this is the yang, it's like, and so it's, and so of course things are going to start to spin out of control. And so for me, the awakening of feminine consciousness, of feminine wisdom, of the feminine essence is not, the purpose of that awakening is not this, okay? Because then we're going to be out of balance again. The purpose is this, right? Coming into harmony with those. But what most of us humans are lacking, what most of us humans are really good at is living through the mind, of creating through the mind, of doing things through the mind. We're very mental, and this is part of what has caused the imbalance in our bodies and the sickness, the cancer, the strokes, the autoimmune disorder. All of that can also be traced to imbalance. And so this is an invitation, and what's exciting is that we're supported astrologically, we're supported energetically, we're supported numerologically, we're supported in so many different ways, on so many dimensions, to more easily awaken this feminine part within all of us. And so that's actually a really great segue to some of the, I wanted to share some of the tools. Like, if you're like, okay, where do I begin? Where do I begin starting to cultivate my feminine wisdom to help me to manifest and create what I want to create in 2022 from a place of more ease and allowance. So if you're watching this, I thought, I just want to show you some of the things that just go to. First, this. If you're not working with fire, start, okay? I know it's kind of, yeah. And especially for those of you who just lost your homes by fire, you might want to pay attention to what message there is inside of that fire, and start working with the fire in a way that is intentional, intentional. And you can just start with meditation, There are ancient practices of just staring at the fire, and there's actually neuroscience studies that have shown that there of activation in certain parts of the brain when you stare at fire, including the part of the brain that corresponds to where your pineal gland is. Surprise, surprise, your third eye. Also, this is, I believe, I see the elements as having both feminine and masculine energies. If you're asking yourself, how do I begin to cultivate, my feminine wisdom, my feminine power? If there's a goddess to work with that goes with the fire, it would be Pele. Pele, who is the Hawaiian goddess of the volcano, the Hawaiian goddess of destruction and transformation, but also rebirth and manifestation. And get yourself, here's the other thing, with this awakening of the feminine awakening and consciousness, and I also see it very, to me, feminine consciousness, feminine wisdom, to me is interchangeable with indigenous wisdom, indigenous consciousness and practices. And by indigenous, these cultures that are still connected to the earth. And I feel especially indigenous island cultures, okay? Like the island of Hawaii, like the island of Bali. There's a reason these islands, especially in the tropics, exude, and just there's feminine energy everywhere. So beginning to connect with, if you can go to one of these islands this year, come to Bali on retreat with us. Go to Hawaii. If you can't, wherever you are, if it's so cold outside, you can go ahead and order this. It's called Mana Cards, The Power of Hawaiian, Ancient Hawaiian Wisdom. Okay. This is an amazing, very, very educational deck. And here is the goddess Pele inside of this deck. And of course, her number is 22. And that is not the first time Pele and the number 22 go hand in hand. I think she lives in the domain of 22 and 222. So connecting with Pele. Also, if you're like, ooh, how do I connect more with Pele? I have a free activation, Pele Namaskar activation journey on our website that you can go and do anytime. The other deck that has really been, this has been my Bible, okay? After 15 years of just drilling my head with neuroscience, and then getting too far into my head that I got sick and had my own rebirth, feminine awakening, this is what came in to assist me. It was Kuan Yin, the goddess Kuan Yin. So if you don't have this, if you only get this, or if you only do one of these, I promise you, you will be guided and you will feel shifts that you never felt before. This particular guidebook was created by oh my goodness. If somebody can bring one of these to Bali, because mine is like falling apart and I don't know how to order this in Bali, but Alana Fairchild, look her up. She is a leading and powerful guide and force of feminine wisdom, divine feminine mythology, and channeling those energies and those messages of the divine feminine. So healing, so much guidance in this. In fact, there's a statement in here on page 125 about femininity that I'm going to share with you right now, so you can just get a taste of this language, and there's probably a transmission here for you. So this is of the card, the Yin Empress, and so it says the gifts of the Yin Empress are experienced through your feminine power, which is accessed through living your heart truth, your genuine values, and your fierce gentleness. And then here we go. Femininity is not weak, nor is it aggressive. It is fierce compassion that refuses to descend into judgment. That refuses to descend into judgment. Can you imagine? I'm taking that on in 2022. Every time something comes up and I have and I have this urge to just cast a label onto it or judge it as wrong, I'm going to step back and reconsider and bring that compassion on board, and invite you to do that with me. Fierce compassion that refuses to descend into judgment. And if it does, and it will, and that's okay, it rises again to compassion over and over again. Both men and women in touch with their feminine power are able to love, to have compassion, to be truthful, and to honor what really matters to them, whether it fits with contemporary cultural values, or not. See why I love that so much. Let me know if any of you also use this as a guide. So the other thing I would say is have a word for your year. Have a word, a journey word for your year. So in our women's programs, specifically our Goddess Brain program, also our North Somatic Flow program, any program, at the beginning we invite everyone to have a word that encapsulates their intention, their singular intention that is the umbrella of their journey. And so what is your word? I'll share mine. Mine this year is manifestation. And divine feminine manifestation. It can be 3. It's okay if it's 3. It's okay if it's a phrase. And then have some seeds to go under that. Have some seeds to go under that. I've just decided that that I'm done. I'm really done with the working so hard part of my life, and I've experienced enough of the magic of manifestation. I witness it all the time with our clients and our students, and then there's still been this part of that masculine old paradigm way of doing things in life and especially in work that have had kind of their hooks in me, and I'm done. And so welcoming manifestation. Also just realizing that I only have however many decades left, maybe 5 or 6 decades left on this planet in this human form. That's, who knows, I may have 5 days left, right? And I have so much to share. And I have so much work that I feel determined and called to get complete with in this lifetime, that it's gonna take divine manifestation to have all of that get complete, and to have all of it not only get complete but be able to make the difference on this planet that it can make. So the other part of awakening your feminine essence is, and this is so key because it goes back to that perspective, and it goes back, circling back to what we are going to see in 2022. We're going to see and experience more. we're going to have more of those intense experiences that throw our nervous systems out of harmony. Okay? We're going to have more and more of those experiences and witness things that our brains are not going to be able to process right away. So working with the nervous system and the body and the breath, this is key, key, key. If you're watching this and you don't at least have a 5-minute somatic practice every day, at the minimum, start. It's not too late to start, and anyone can commit to even a 1-minute breath practice where you are just breathing and connecting with that flow of the inhale and the exhale, slowly through the nose, out the mouth, lengthening the exhale. Every time you focus on that exhale, you all, and you slow the exhale down, that activates your parasympathetic system, okay? So your rest and digest system, you know, and your vagal connections, right? Oh, so much stuff, so much fun stuff that I'm gonna be weaving in all of these things into videos in 2022. Yeah, it's time. It's time. So many of you have said to me, Jinju, your work has made such a difference in my life. I just wish that there was an easier way to share it with my friends and my loved ones, you know, who may not have the capacity or the bandwidth to fully commit to some of these more immersive programs that we have. So that's one of my seeds this year, is to just make all of this more accessible, and to share more of what has made a difference for me and our clients with the world at large. Also, if you don't know where to go to practice, to learn more about somatic practices, we will be launching this year at least monthly. Hopefully we can get to weekly, but monthly medicine of flow community circles that are facilitated by either myself or one of our neurosomatic flow graduates, just to create. We need more spaces, sanctuaries, and we've done this many times before for so many, but we just haven't been consistent. So excited to bring you some consistency around that, where you have a place to go and be guided in utilizing the medicine of flow to help restore your nervous system and to help you repattern and rewire yourself so that you can not just survive, but so you can thrive. So you can thrive in 2022 and rise up with your fellow humans to help usher in the beauty and the new paradigms that want to be ushered in. Have a song. Have a song, okay? One of my songs in the past, and I'm bringing it back into 2022, is it's a prayer. It's called "The Power of Now Is Here," and it's by a beautiful singer-songwriter artist named Alexia Chulun. And there's a whole story of how I got to connect with her, and now I'm in love with her whole entire family. If any of you are watching, love the Chulun family so much. But this song, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have my first dance of 2022 be a prayer. To be a prayer. And I'm feeling emotional right now because I know the power. And I can feel, and I can feel the collective. I can feel you all. I can feel you all. And so this is going to be a prayer and an invitation for you to dance this prayer with me. Wait till you hear this song, okay? The power of now is here. And there's a line in it where the power of you and me are here to make magic on earth, So I'll send out a separate video on that. I'll make a separate video on that where you can just join me in that dance and be inspired to let that divine feminine energy and the energy of the elements to flow with you, through you, to help you to cast out any powerful prayers of yours for any loved ones of yours, for our planet, for future generations, for anything you want, for the suffering of in any way to be transmuted. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm wishing you the best year ever. It's not going to be an easy one. It's not going to be an easy one for any of us. But we're in this together. And I promise you, if you just even try a little bit to reach out to the universe, to reach out to the elements, to speak to the fire, to believe and have faith, you are more infinitely resourced than you can possibly imagine. And if there's a year to manifest anything you want, this is the year. And know that in manifesting what you really want, you're probably going to experience the death of other things. And so all of that just comes together. And so we just get to invite ourselves to learn how to surrender and to find grace and to find balance and to find flow inside of that dance. One last thing. I don't have her book here, but we're talking about dance and we're talking about this planet. If you haven't read the book, if you don't have the book, Gaia's Dance by Dr. Elizabeth Sahtouris, you have to get that book. You have to read that book. And this will give you the most amazing perspective, the most amazing, powerful, expansive perspective of what is happening on the planet right now from an evolutionary point of view. Okay, when you can see it on the evolutionary timeline, you might actually laugh, and you'll feel more lightness, and you'll have more understanding, and you'll be able to see the darkness and the shadow and the hard stuff in a whole different light, and allow yourself to shift focus to what is being birthed inside of this, So with that, I hope that you picked up a gem or two inside of this. I would love to know if you have any requests of anything that I can bring to you inside of this year, inside of these public videos, messages. I'm going to be bringing some practices. Please let me know in the comments below. Please let me know what touched you the most or inspired you the most inside of this. And if you know what your year journey word is, put that in the comments below as well. And with that, I am wishing you infinite blessings on this new moon. Infinite blessings in your health, in your goddess brain, in your body, in your life, on your path. Yeah. So aloha And as I like to say at NaiAsa Institute, Nayamaste. And I will see you in the next video.